Got some questions about some drawings. All right, I'm wanting some people to give me some ideas. Like, say for this. I started this probably 20 years ago, never finished it. I was wanting to redo it, but I don't know what to do with it. I got that much of it, don't know what to do. Okay? This one, I started kind of diddling on. I just don't know what to do with it. He's got, crystal ball. I guess he's some kind of witch, warlock, whatever, And that one, I don't know what to do with it. All right. This one, I started on, never finished. I basically got the point of it, but I want to fill in the background here, but I don't want to just put cactus and sand, I want to put a decent background in there. I don't know what to put in it. This one, of course, I thought about putting like some hell and stuff like that around it, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seems a little too obvious. I want to put something in there that's, unique, not just some fire and hell with a demon in it, something unusual that, where a demon probably shouldn't be. And this one, obviously, like a zombie or a monster, but I thought about having his hand coming out real big, like he's reaching out of the paper. That's what I started to do, but I always have a problem with backgrounds. I mean, I can draw the point of a picture, but then after that, I start my artwork and I never finish it, I mean, I do tattoos. I started to do tattoos. I've done a couple of them. This was the first tattoo I did when I made a homemade gun, and I did this a long time ago. I mean, I did it basically just to test my gun. That was the first tattoo. This is actually the second one right here. It's a couple little skulls and a heart with the ribbon around it, And this one was I think the third one. I did a tattoo on somebody that was the Harlequin cat from Alice in Wonderland. That was technically the first tattoo I'd ever done with a real gun. This is technically the second that I've done with a real gun, and this is the third. I mean, for somebody that never tattooed before, really, I think it's alright. I just don't ever have any customers. I just, I don't know. I have the ability in the gun, and I mean, I have literally a whole kit, but I never use it. I did this one. This was basically the third tattoo I'd ever done with a real gun. Or the fourth one, my bad, the fourth one. This is the fourth one. I was just tatting my legs to kind of practice. First I put a little, tribal lion on the knee there. Let's see, I got the see no evil, the hear no evil, and speak no evil. This one was hard. I couldn't get a stencil at all. I had to literally just look at a paper at the drawing and then tat it on my leg upside down. So it didn't turn out too good. I mean, it's not bad for what it is. I mean, but it didn't turn out as good as I wanted it to. This one, I'd never finished. I got this one from Google. I thought it looked pretty cool, and I drew it out on paper. And this was a tribal dragon. Stuff's all upside down. It's kind of hard to see. And this was a tribal lion. I wanted to do another one of these facing inward, facing the one here, like two of them facing each other. But I'd never gotten around to doing it. But I got these drawings. I just never finish. I mean, I'll literally start a drawing and never finish it. Like, here's some. Like that. I mean, it's kind of like a Cenobite from Hellraiser or something, But I started basically I did the main piece and then never finished it. I did this a few years ago and just don't know what to do. I mean, it's like I run out of ideas. I got a wild mind and a lot of ideas, but it's so wild and jumbled and everything. I just can't I can't really picture and focus one thing and keep it, and draw it. I mean, it takes a bit. I drew this for a friend, but I'd never finished it. It was basically, he was in jail and I was kind of sending this to him, because I know they play cards in jail, so it has the spade and the heart and the clubs, and then he's holding that's basically in his face, you got the spade and the hearts, the clubs, the ace, or basically is the spade, but the ace right here, the ace of diamonds and spades, and it's like a dragon, but I never finished him either. My dad had done this, and he was like that too. He'd start something and he'd never finish it. Here's some pointillism. I started but just never finished. Another one. Started and never finished. Technically I started this one with my left hand. I can't remember if it was this one or another one. I started it with my left hand, and then just got bored of using my left hand. And when I run out of ideas or I can't think of something, I'll start doodling, with my left hand, because it kind of opens up a door in your mind. It can give you ideas. Somebody suggested that a long time ago to me, and I eventually just started. I switched hands and literally used my left hand for everything. The mouse. When I'd wax my car or something, when I'd start writing, I just started using my left hand, and it started opening my mind up a lot. And I started figuring things out a lot easier that I could never figure out before. Or it took me a little longer to figure out before, but it would come right to me eventually because I started opening the right side of my mind or my brain or whatever. Here's another one. Never finished. I started it, and I like to do a lot of stuff in pen. I just don't like pencil, because pen looks so much better. And a lot of people ask me, man, how do you shade so good with a pen? But it's not real hard. I mean, it's just about the pressure and the amount of time you spend depending on how dark it is or not. I mean, I can teach anyone how to draw. A lot of people that I have, friends over the years, dozens of friends, I've taught how to draw that they never knew they had it in them. But I believe every person has the ability to create, because we inherit that from the divine creator. Whether you want to believe in God or not, you don't have to. But we inherit that as humans to be able to create. And this is just kind of I'm having a brain fart right now. It's like a collage of random. I'm having a brain fart. I can't think of the word, but I'll do that every night. My brain's going 100 miles per hour right now. It always is. What's that look like? The Mothman, right? Believe it or not, I seen this. I was living out in Carter County in Grayson. I lived 3 miles out in the woods, literally, in a mobile home, right? And on an acre of land by myself. And it was literally dark as hell, And I was watching the Mothman prophecies. Now, it was probably my mind fooling me and playing tricks on me, But when I looked outside, I literally saw this in a backyard. It could have just been shadows, whatever. I mean, I did consider that. I'm sure I didn't actually see it, but this is what I saw. This is what basically my mind scared me into seeing. Now, as you've probably noticed, I have a thing for, sinister stuff. A lot of people do. But also, I do for, nice things too. But I never finished this guy either. I basically got him done, but I wanted to put some wild stuff around him. I never really knew what I'd put around it. I figured this was basically it, I got another one here I'll bring out. I never finished this either, Obviously, everybody... My dad always drew people, and mainly women, because he always said the female form is the hardest thing to draw. Hands and feet are the hardest thing to draw. And if you can perfect drawing a female and hands and feet, then you've got your artism down. Okay, this looks like a toddler drew it. I just did this in crayon. This is literally like the first thing I'd ever drawn in crayon. I figured I'd just kind of... I was bored, I had a box of crayons, figured what the hell, why not? So I just drew this just for the hell of it. Crayon drawing. Looks like a toddler did it. Here's some wild stuff. It kind of looks like anime to me, but I just was drawing random. I wasn't even thinking when I drew this. I just let my hand draw stuff. This was the second thing I ever did in crayon. After I did that first one, I figured, well, I'm going to try another technique. And instead of using, doing it with light hand, I did it with a heavy hand. And I pressed real hard. And I think it turned out a little better than the other one. You can do a lot more with the crayon when you press real hard. Of course, I started this. This looks like a toddler did it too, but I never finished it. I can't remember who it was that I was dating that didn't hurt me, and I just kind of drew this because I was feeling a little bad. Saw a picture of a panther online, and I was like, wow, I loved it. I thought it was beautiful. And I figured, hey, I like panthers. Black is my favorite color. Black, purple, technically. But yeah, I thought it looked alright. Technically, I wanted to tattoo it, but that would take a lot of work, and I need a big canvas like my back or something. But I can't tattoo my back, obviously. Besides, I already got a tattoo going down the middle of my back anyway. It's Chinese writing. It was a dedication to my sister in memory of, because she died in that wreck that almost killed me. And gave me this big old scar. Broke my neck. Had water in my brain, collapsed lung. I mean, it fucked me up bad. This little sketch my dad had done. This is a copy of it, but he used to fiddle around drawing stuff, you know. And my dad actually, believe it or not, looks exactly like David Copperfield the magician. Oh yeah, here, I'll show you. Here's a picture of him. It's kind of blurry. I got a bigger one here under it, you know, but it got wet and it kind of screwed it up, you know, and dots and stuff. But yeah, that's my dad. Looks like David Copperfield, huh? Yeah. On this, the word I couldn't think of was abstract. I just couldn't think of the word abstract. I mean, sometimes, you know, like anyone, they have a brain fart, and it's simple stuff, but nonetheless. You know, I always thought this kind of looked like a foot in the middle here. But I always tried to, a lot of my abstract stuff, you can literally turn it in every way, you know, and see a lot of different stuff. But I'd do that on purpose too. I mean, I'd literally turn the paper, start drawing stuff, turn the paper again, start drawing stuff, you know, turn the paper again, do it, you know, with a whole piece of paper. And here's one that I actually really finished. I can't find it. This ain't it, but it's similar to this. It's got a spaceship, a triangle one. It's got an ape. It's got an alien. It's a whole picture. It's got a quasar and stuff like that. I'll find it, but this is another thing that I almost finished. You know, I just never actually put the rest of the stuff in here. This was one of the first like that I'd ever drawn. I mean, it was like I did this, I want to say about 12 years ago, and just never finished it. It gave me ideas, though, to do stuff like this, and the other one, I'll find it. Here's the other clown that I've wanting to put like a background in. I just don't know what to put behind him. Here's me, if I was a vampire, you know. I used to wear my hair spiked all the time. Literally, I just started growing it out a year ago. Used to keep shaved too, but I just got fed up with having to shave and cut my hair all the time. See? I had one where I was frowning on one side and smiling on the other. It literally is like a two-piece picture too, you know. Another one that I never finished. I thought this one looked kind of stupid. I was going to try to make it like he had spider legs or something, like a face hugger around his head, you know. Of course, a rough sketch of my unsinkable boat. I got the better design in one of my drawing books. Obviously, that's funny. This is just a stencil of the actual picture I have. I need to find those somewhere. They're around somewhere. I had them on one of my Facebooks on my artwork. Now, obviously, people would think I'm a sicko, but I saw this as a tattoo and thought it was hilarious. So I had some map colors, and I used all the map colors to actually do this. The color pencils, if nobody knows what map colors are. People call them color pencils, but I always call them map colors. Here's a unicorn / Pegasus that I'd started and never finished. Now, I started this, but I'd revised it because I wanted the halo and the pitchfork up here instead of just the cross there and the you can't see it, but the pinnacle. I put those down here and that up there, and I did his face a lot different, both their faces. And the horns, I did them, instead of pointing up, they're more like goat horns on the other one. I'll find it. I did this probably 25 years ago. I thought, you know, I always thought Witchblade was hot. Of course, I mean, I saw this on a comic. I was like, hey, maybe it was about 15 years ago. But, you know, everybody likes Witchblade. I did this about, I was 19, about 17, 18 years ago. Believe it or not, I'm almost 40. Not too bad looking for a 40-year-old. No, I'm just joking. But, yeah. If you haven't noticed, I have a real affliction or obsession, I guess, with aliens, you know. This is like where the concept of the Reaper, Grim Reaper, comes from. So it's basically, you've heard of the Black Plague and the cloaked figures that was spraying noxious mist and all that, which it coincides better than rats spreading it, you know. I mean, it just seems like a lot of it makes more sense when you consider it being a biological disease, biological warfare from something else that was basically cutting down the population or punishing the people for being so sick and perverted to each other back then. This is the picture I can't find. It's probably up in the attic, but I took a picture of it and put it on my computer, and I just remembered I had it on the computer. But yeah, you see I have the alien in the middle there with the Metatron's cube, the Star of David, the Tree of Life, the two pyramids together. I mean, of course, you know, all that coincides. Ancient past energy, code fusion, that I have written on my wall with the star emulation, the Ark of the Covenant, etc. Yada yada yada. There's the triangle, you know, craft, the all-seeing eye, the pyramid, the cross with the four, you know, the four elements basically, you know, and the moon, solar system, ancient astronaut, the ape, you know, a quasar at the same time that is basically feeding this ship its energy. My dad had done a rough draft of this, and I revised it and, you know, detailed it and redid it basically. It's an ancient astronaut, or he always, you know, says the Aztecs were the true astronauts and intelligence, alien beings, yada yada, all that. They were affiliated with them. So this is like an ancient astronaut that's an Aztec. You know, he has the bird-like helmet on, basically. His, you know, his spacesuit, or helping breathe in our atmosphere. You know, it's got his sword or saber. This was basically the moon, but it's a shield. In his drawing, it was a shield, but I wanted to make it the moon, you know, because I just got this obsession with space. I mean, there's nothing about the cosmos that you couldn't tell me unless it's something literally new that we have discovered. But every discovery we have made, I had already predicted through logic and understanding. And here's an example. If we had ever had any alien visitors, and I'd been saying this for years, if we'd ever had any alien visitors, they would have to come from the closest star. At least, at the very minimum, they would at least come from the closest star, Proxima Centauri. That there was a planet somewhere around Proxima Centauri that had an intelligent alien life. And they came to our planet because it was the closest star with an habitable planet. Or at least Mars at that time was habitable too. Or even Venus, regardless. And they had just realized, or within the last month or so, that they had actually found a possibly habitable planet, Earth-like planet, around Proxima Centauri. When I had been telling literally everyone that for over 20 years, that there has got to be an alien planet that supports life around Proxima Centauri. Just from logic, just from literally thinking the obvious. Now this was supposed to be, and my dad had done something similar to this. It was an image of him, you know, with his long hair, and you know, it was in the back there's like a castle, and there's a dragon head, you know, right here, kind of like it's his big pet that's kind of sitting here beside him. And I was like, well, that's a good idea. So I did it with me, basically, you know. I put my picture on there, and I just never finished it. I had a friend that commissioned me. He's all into that, playing vampires, and has his character and all that. And he described his character. He wanted me to draw him a character, you know, that was similar to like a Jedi or something, all right? And I'd drawn it, and I'd sent him the image. Of like, here, dude, this is what it looks like. I probably shouldn't have done that because he was going to pay me. And when I sent him that image, basically all he had to do was take that image and print it out, and boom, there's his character. So I basically ripped myself off. But technically, that's not the case, because regardless, he got the image, I put forth that image, he should have paid me anyway. And I was only going to ask like 20, 25 bucks or something, you know. I mean, just from the time I'd put into it. I mean, I'd literally worked on it for, you know, several hours trying to get it right. And I had a couple of them that I'd sent him, he's like, no, that's, you know, he was a clean shaven. And the other one I had him, you know, he had like a little bit of stubble, 5 o'clock shadow, and, you know, goatee and stuff. And he's like, well, and he didn't have shades on. And he was like, well, my character is clean shaven, and I want him with shades. And, you know, he just kind of, every time I'd present something, you know, a couple of them on my tracing paper, he's like, no, well, I want this, I want that, yada, yada, yada. And I got it down for him, right? And I never got paid. Ah! That was when I was sexy. There's me clean shaven and with my hair like I usually wear, or used to wear. And there's pretty much a picture of me. Just throwing this out there because, you know, trying to get people more familiar with who I am. I had drawn this out because my dad had sent me a picture of it. on a shirt. He had sent me a shirt and it had these on it, and I thought it looked pretty cool. So I drew it out and had somebody tattoo it on me, but this was, I think, before it was finished out. Kind of scarred it up a little. I mean, she kind of pushed real hard, but I think it looks alright. And this, you know, I'd vowed that I would never put another woman's name on me anymore. So this girl I was dating said, what about birthdays? And I didn't want to do that either, but for some reason, I had no problem with her birthday, and I had no idea why. Literally, July 30th. I had no idea why I did not have a problem with that birthday. And about 2 years later, my dad was in the hospital, and he ended up dying on July 30th. So I don't know if it's like some kind of weird curse that I put this on here and my dad died, or if I just had some kind of instinct saying, you know, that your dad's going to die on that day, and it wouldn't be bad to have some kind of memorial thing. So I guess that's the situation on that, but weird. Yeah, I miss the clean shaven days though. There's my brother. Pretty insane, huh? Blonde hair, blue-eyed white boy. But that's my family. Damn, there's a real clean shave. I can promise you, I'm just looking for something. I'm not going to do this much. I mean, I'm looking for a picture, a drawing. There's basically all my tattoo equipment. See, here's some of it. I basically got it all for about 120 bucks too, something like that. I mean, really cheap, man. Technically, all I did was buy a bunch of groceries for someone. They needed some groceries. They had gotten out of tattooing and stuff. She had the stuff, you know, it was like, just gave it to me, you know. I mean, I didn't care to help somebody out, you know, and it was nice to compensate me for doing something nice. I mean, that was, usually people just take advantage, you know, but she appreciated it, and that was alright of her to give me all this stuff. These are like little tattoo pins. They're real cool. One of them's broke. It's not necessarily broke, it needs to be calibrated and adjusted, but I haven't had the time to sit down and actually start fiddling with it. Here's the eagle with the ram and stuff, and the pirate. It's like a pirate or something. Gold. These are just 2 of them. I had like 10 guns. Oh, this is just some stuff we was working on at work. We was building retainer walls. We was actually building an in-ground pool, and we had to work on his retainer walls and all the landscaping and stuff, you know. Pretty tough stuff, but I love it, especially in the hot sun. I don't know what it is, but I love the sun. I'm obsessed with Helios. I think there was over 600 something in this side of the blocks. They weighed 80 pounds apiece. And for somebody that's only weighs about 140, 150 pounds, that's a pretty good amount of work. This is what it did to my elbow. My elbow literally looked like a knee. I'd gotten what they said it was tennis elbow. I always heard the word and knew, you know, about what tennis elbow was, but really never knew that it was a serious bad thing like this. I mean, I just thought it was like, oh, you get wore out, but I never knew that it literally would build up water onto your muscle and your tendons and everything, and it was sick when they sucked that stuff out. It was sick. It looked like creek water. So here's that tattoo that's on my leg. This was after I'd gotten done with it and put some stuff on it. So here's the stencil for it. Looks a lot better, don't it? I just could never get the stencils to stencil right. I must have had the wrong kind of transfer paper. I mean, I wasn't using real tattoo transfer paper, and that was probably my problem. Ooh, sexy. Yeah, I know, nobody wants to see that. Here's that picture basically on one of my buddies. He had liked it too, and he wanted it on his arm. And he had something that was already there that I basically started touching up and doing some shading on, and this was when I was working on it and darkening it in, trying to make a kind of a abstract thing out of that too, skulls. Here's what's basically on my upper thigh. This was basically what was going to be the stencil. This was the rough draft of it. And here's all my gray hair. Yeah, I'm getting old. Pushing 40. Damn. I never even knew I had that much gray hair until now. I always knew I had a lot, but damn, looking at these pictures, man, it makes me depressed. So here's the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. See, I messed up the top here. I messed his eyes up. The fire coming out of his eyes. I just messed it up, and his jaw and stuff. It was hard to do upside down, you know, with no stencil. I mean, I could not get it to stencil for shit. See, basically all I was trying to do was mainly work on my shading, which not too bad for somebody that's basically a beginner. I mean, to be honest, it kind of looks like the work of at least an intermediate. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I mean, I don't want to discredit myself. And here's the foundation of an above ground that we was working on. Here's we had the wall up, we got the uprights up and everything. There's Rocky flattening down the sand, you know, getting it all flat and pretty. See, getting it all nice and flat. Me and this dude can throw a pull together in just hours. Literally, I mean, me and him can throw a pull together like it ain't nothing. Of course, here it is when it's all finished. Then we do the backfill around it, you know, flatten it out, make it look all nice, so that way when the grass grows, it doesn't look like humps and stuff like that. It actually grows around it real nice and flat. See, once we get the liner in it, we hook the vacuum up, reduce the barometric pressure behind it. The atmosphere basically flattens it all down. We work out all the little kinks, all the little grooves, make it perfectly, beautifully smooth. On the retainer wall one that was working on was a big in ground. I think it was a 20 by 40, if I'm not mistaken. This was when we had the half of the, we were still working on the pool base, you know, mixing it and getting it in there and troweling it down and everything, making it look all nice and pretty. You know, this was half of that done. And there's when we had the liner in it. This one had Roman stairs. It actually had the big, all the way across the bottom here were the stairs that go in it. And every time when you're clipping in the liner around that, it is so aggravating trying to get that all flattened out. But once you get most of it out, using the atmosphere to press down on it and get everything out, the water will literally work out all the rest of the little kinks. Here's one that's completely full, I mean, and built and everything. Put the deck around it. I don't know why I took this. I just thought it was a really nice sight, you know, with the, it kind of reminded me of a bonsai tree sitting up on a hill, you know, and then the sun shining behind it. Here's a car shed, a carport basically, or shed we was working on, you know, a garage. It was a garage. See, it took us, I think 4 days maybe. I didn't really get a after shot of it when we finished it. This was about all I got. I didn't think about it till last minute. Here was a pool that we ended up working on. You wouldn't be able to tell either. I mean, after we had done it, I mean, it looked brand new and beautiful. See, the whole damn wall had collapsed. I mean, it had rusted so bad that it was, I mean, it was screwed. This was this was a few more days later after we had gotten everything fixed up. We had actually pulled the wall back up, braced it into this concrete, you know. I mean, you got to use turnbuckles. But somebody actually didn't have the footer put in here right. Nobody really had a footer for this thing, and that was why the wall collapsed. Of course, on top of literally not having a real good wall in the first place, since it had rusted so bad. And here is what that looked like once we had finally gotten the pool done. Then we just had to do the sidewalk and all that. See, here's another one that was the same size and everything as that other one. Same aspect. Basically the same specs and depth and everything width. But this was what the other one looked like too, you know, once we got it all done. I mean, basically, you know, beautiful. There was this one that had trees and everything growing, saplings in it. I mean, people threw a shed down in it. When they junked the shed, they threw it all in. They were going to fill the hole in, but then they lost the house and somebody bought it and they wanted to revitalize their pool. And every pool place around this area looked at it and said, it's impossible. There is no way to do it. And me and Rocky, we did it. I mean, we can literally fix any pool. Here's what the Roman steps are. They go all the way across. You have to put them together. There's two types. There's types where when it's polywall, plastic, basically you put the wall together and you put the steps together and you fill each one with concrete, you know, and that's your steps. And you put pool base on it and you smooth it out, and you know, that's your steps. Or there's the metal wall, which I prefer the metal walls. They're harder to put them in a poly wall. They're worth money. But you put them, they crossed here, you know, nail them together, screw them together. You basically screw them all together, but once you put them together, it's a lot easier to the liner than walls. I did this one when I was 19 because I hadn't drawn in a few years and I wanted to see if I still had it. So I did, like my dad always told me, the females and hands and feet are the hardest things to draw. And I did it with a pen. Sure enough, it turned out alright. I mean, if somebody hadn't drawn in years, I mean, if you don't use it, you lose it, you know, in most cases. And I guess it can happen if you're an artist, but you don't always lose it. It's like riding a bicycle. You always know how to do it. You can lose little detail, you know, you can lose a little bit of talent, you know, and just have to touch back up on it. But other than that, you never really lose the ability. Nobody does. Everybody has the ability in them. Here's my baby Jada. I had to see her in a damn office, supervised visits. They literally took her from me from a domestic violence shelter. Yes, I fled with my daughter, my infant daughter, when she was a baby, to a domestic violence shelter because my wife at the time tried to kill us. And they took her from me and gave her right back to her mom. And her mom was failing drug tests and everything. But as in a lot of my videos I talk about this, they literally had her sold. Child trafficking is a real thing, and they literally tried to ruin my life just to get her and make some money. I mean, I was arrested and put on a $500,000 bond for nothing, just to get out of the way, just to get me out of the way, because legally, since the mother didn't want her, then the father was the next to take her, the next of kin. And they didn't like that fact because there was nothing to indicate that I couldn't take care of my child. They had to give her to me. I had a home, had income, I took care of her, I got up with her, I fed her. An infant is not hard to take care of. I don't care who anyone is. I don't care who you are. If you think a baby is hard to take care of, then you have problems. A baby, an infant, is very easy to take care of. A baby starts crying in the middle of the night. Oh, they get up all through the night, you know. So, that's not hard. You get up, change the baby, give them a bottle, and they go back to sleep. You go back to sleep. That is not hard. That is easy. It's just undesirable. But when you're a parent and you love your children, it makes you feel good about yourself to care and love and be there for someone that's relying on you. And they almost ruined my life just to steal my daughter. What I think is hard is when they get 5, 6, 7 years old. That's a little tougher, but it's still not hard, you know. There's a difference between being hard and tough, or just strenuous, you know. And there's my bubby. I got with his mom, her mom, my ex-wife, when he was almost 3 months old. Only daddy he even knows. But I may not be his daddy, but I'm his father. And when I finally got custody of her, through all of the year of hell that I went through, he was just caught in the middle of a vicious cycle. And they was like, well, what do we do with the little boy? I said, I'll take him. I couldn't take care of him. I mean, I could take care of him, don't get me wrong. It's just I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't equipped. I wasn't, you know, thinking I was going to get him too, you know. But after everything that happened, I mean, I could not let him go. You know, I couldn't just let him go. And plus, I mean, she needs her brother. And he needs his sissy. Poor child. His daddy's a worthless piece of shit. His mommy was worthless. She favored him over her, though. She used to punch herself in the stomach every time we get in an argument just because she knew it hurt me. Because I wanted my daughter. I already knew it was going to be a girl. I knew that I already had a girl name picked out. I mean, the day of conception. I was like, you're pregnant. And she's like, well, how do you know? I just know. And it's going to be a girl. And she's like, what if it's a boy? I said, no, it's going to be a girl. I already know. I'd already seen all this. I'd already seen it. I mean, I just got, my intuition's real strong. I'm a really open-minded person. See, here's the metal walls. See, they go to better so much better. See, these are turnbuckles. And when you put these in, you mount them into the ground, and you make sure everything's level. You pour concrete all the way around this. And that one pool where it had collapsed, somebody didn't do that. They didn't do this at all. They put the wall in the ground and buried it. And you would think, hey, the water is going to be pushing out. The ground's going to be holding it stable so it won't go nowhere. Wrong. Rain and weather will literally tear your pool apart if you do not have a footer. Here's my second son. I think he was about 10 or 11 in this picture. He's 17 now. And here's him solving a Rubik's Cube. When he was, he can throw these things, I mean, he can find any Rubik's Cube and solve it within seconds. I mean, it amazes me. He's trying to show people he can do it, you know. I know, I've seen him do it many times. I mean, he's got Rubik's Cubes sitting up on his shelves at home. My grandma in the background. My boy, man, takes that for his daddy. All my kids take that for their daddy. Every one of them are artists. Every one of them. All of them have. Every one of them have won an art contest of some sort at some time in their life. All my daughters too. Believe it or not, yes, I have 7 kids. I have 6 biological children and 1 stepson. 7 children. I see them whenever I want. I mean, I only have custody of my 2 youngest, but I see the others whenever they come over. My oldest daughter, her mother kind of keeps her away from me, which is a pretty shitty thing to do, you know. But she knows she knows that it wasn't me. It's not been me, you know, that doesn't participate in her life. It's whenever I can, I do. Whenever I had tried, it just went nowhere because her mother would literally just, if I brought Easter baskets and stuff to her, you know, she would never meet me. And if I actually did see her out one day, you know, and I was like, hey, I got it out in the car, I'll give you your Easter basket, Lexi. You know, her mom's like, yeah, it's all smug and everything, and she just, I don't know what her problem was. He's doing it too fast, my phone's getting full and it won't keep with it. See, he done this one in 2. He's a lot faster at it now. Of course, he's a lot 5-6 years ago. So yeah, he solved the cube. Earth sin, because it's that big. This is about the United States. So it condenses, and as it goes in, it's like a hydraulic system. Around this subcore, you know, or around the cooling as it erupts. And as it comes out to the top, it expands and cools again and starts the circulation over. That's what I believe is going on. That's what's going on the inside. There's a little, but I'm not going to get to it because my phone is chopping, and this video is 40 minutes, which is probably like 5 gigs. Just something I made out of popsicle sticks. I put this little thing together, and I was like, wow, it looks a lot like a church. So I just went ahead and put this little cross on the top, you know. I made a little building. I don't have a bag in the attic somewhere. You know what? I'm going to draw that on a folder, and I'm going to put some. And over time, the folder got so wore out, so I cut the image of Spider-Man off and glued it to another piece of paper, which that piece of paper is also wore out, and it's stashed with my other drawing there. I'll find it.